Hey gang, Chonky here. Today I'll be showing you guys what you can and should be farming when you run the Festering Bog. Now this dungeon is currently the hardest dungeon, so if you're not properly geared or you have a hard time getting through it, maybe resort to my other videos where you can farm in the easier to run dungeons. But this dungeon is the fastest dungeon to run, so if you can topple the difficulty, it is well worth the effort. So you can get fragments for all the elite sets and snag a few magical cores in this dungeon as well. There's also a cool feature with the final boss Malorath, his little loot drop, wherein you can get bonus chests of loot depending on which bosses you kill in the dungeon. Now I'm not 100% certain of the drops for the extra chests, so I'm not going to cover them. You will see me open a couple of them at the end of the Malorath fight. But since I don't know the specifics, I'm not going to include them. Just know that if you kill more bosses, you will get more loot. And they're cool to get nonetheless. You can get all sorts of fragments from them as well. But anyway, let's get into the boss drops. So the bosses that you don't need to farm are Pit Boss Pippa, First Acolyte Volterra, the Blighters, and Commander Grieve. None of them drop elite set fragments or magical cores. You don't get anything good from the town council either, but you have to fight them to unlock the final boss, so you have to do them regardless. The ones that you definitely want to kill and have to kill are Warlord Torgoth and Malorath. Warlord Torgoth gives you a tier 2 weapon fragment, a random fragment from another dungeon, and I don't think it's guaranteed because sometimes I don't get them, but I get a lot of magical cores from Warlord Torgoth. Aside from Warlord Torgoth, and before we get to Malorath, you can fight the Archdemon of New. He will give you a tier 2 armor fragment. Just skip Volterra's room entirely. If you fight the Enraged Forest, you can get a Demon Lord fragment. Just be careful because this boss does have a one-hit KO mechanic, and in order to avoid it, once the forest gets to be a little bit below half health, you will see them empower their arms, and if you set foot in the bubble while they are empowered, you will die. The way you get around this one-hit KO mechanic is keep your distance once you see their hands start glowing, and you will notice that the other treants will, the three little treants will walk into the arena. If you bring the boss to these treants, they will retreat back, and that will get rid of his buff. So you can run the Enraged Forest for another Demon Lord fragment in here. If you get frustrated with the one-hit KO mechanic, I definitely do. You can probably see all the deaths I have over there in the corner. Just skip this boss. He only gives you one Demon Lord fragment. If you fight Plagueclaw, like I mentioned earlier, you will get 2 tier 1 armor fragments. I did notice a bit of a bug with Plagueclaw wherein they will not become tangible at the start of the boss fight. So sometimes you can fight them, sometimes you can't. And you just, if you experience that bug, you can try reloading the dungeon. Or if you want to farm tier 1 armor, you can just go farm it in the grasslands. It's way easier. And then finally, we have Malorath. Now, this boss fight has the most potential loot. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the more bosses you kill in this dungeon, the more chests of loot you will get in the end. I also, like I mentioned, I don't know the specifics of what loot you will get, so I'm not really going to break it all down. Just know that you get a lot of good loot by killing more bosses. But from Malorath specifically, his loot chest is incredible. So when you beat Malorath, you also get Molobog's drops as well. So you're going to get 2 guaranteed eternal drops, which, since it's Malorath and Molobog, there's a potential that you could get both pieces of your Demon Lord set in one run. You will get your Eternal Essence, and you will get Demon Lord fragments, a tier 2 weapon set fragment, and then 2 magical cores. You get a lot of good stuff just from Malorath's chest. And then as you open up the bonus chests, you'll get more tier 1 and tier 2 armor fragments as well. So if you want to just run through the dungeon really quick, clear it in 30 minutes or so, you'll get a lot of extra loot. So that's my little walkthrough on what exactly you can farm in the Festering Bog. There's a lot of stuff here and you can run it really quickly. So once you get geared up enough to take down the Festering Bog without much difficulty. This is so worth it. And I don't know if you guys noticed or saw it, but I posted an EXP farming video for the Festering Bog in the town, and it is incredible how quickly you can level there. I also posted an interview that I had with two of the 8 developers for Dungeons of Sundaria that was posted about a week ago. We talked about a lot of stuff, and they teased a lot of stuff about what's to come and hopeful changes they want to make to the game. I'm really excited for Ragewind Castle and the class changes and this bonus class that's coming out. We didn't talk about the specifics of what exactly the class is, but if you look at the icon of the class, you can kind of figure it out. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. You can catch me on my Twitch channel, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments below or hit me up on Discord. See ya.